What's up, my friends and fellow traders? Welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to convert the previous lesson's indicator, this RSI oscillator indicator, into a script that draws onto price action and shows you your stops and targets. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of this course section, in the introduction to the technical analysis functions, you cannot draw over price action and into your own indicator box in the same script. You need two different scripts in order to achieve that. And in this lesson, I'm going to show you how we can basically copy and paste all of the code out of this lesson, this script that we created in the previous lesson, into a new script and adjust it slightly so that instead of drawing the signals like this, it actually draws our stops and targets over price action. So first of all, before we start, if you haven't watched the previous lesson, you probably should, because I'm not going to cover what all of the source code here does in this lesson, since I already did that. So if you did skip ahead, make sure to go back and check that out if you want to know what's happening here with the code. Because right now, I'm going to copy all of this code into a new script called RSI, I'll just call it RSI Chart Signals, and tidy this up a little bit. And for this script, I am going to set overlay to true. I'm going to paste in all of our source code here. I'm going to comment out our plots and set the plot down here to NA, just so that the script compiles. And I need to get rid of this duplicate indicator annotation function. So here we go. We basically have our same script that we were working with in the previous lesson, drawing over price action. Same core logic of the script, the guts of the script is still the same. The main difference is we're drawing over price action, and I've commented out all of our indicator box plots because we're not going to be using these in today's lesson. So I can get rid of all of these. We can leave the alert condition function in there. There's no reason not to generate alerts here for this script. And now if I save the script and add it to my chart, we now have our script drawing over price action, but we're not actually drawing anything yet. To draw what we need onto our chart, we need to get a couple of other values. I'm going to add another input parameter here called multiplier, and this is going to be our stop loss multiplier. So it needs to be a float, and we'll call this ATR multiplier. We'll give it a default value of 1.0. The next thing we need to do is get the ATR value. I'm going to be using ATR-based stops and targets for this particular script. So for that, I need to get the ATR from the ta.atr function. I'll just use a default 14 period length. And now that we have the ATR and we are detecting our candlestick patterns, all we need to do now is calculate our stops and targets. So down here, I will say calculate stops and targets. And here is where the magic will happen. So for a long stop, we'll have long stop and short stop. For long stop, because we're trading bullish engulfing candles, what I might do is subtract the ATR from the lowest low over the past. Now, in the previous lesson, I forgot to mention that this look back setting is not actually used in the oscillator version of our script. But we are going to use it in this version of the script. And what we are going to do is we're going to use this look back period to specify how far back to look over price action for swing lows and swing highs to base our stop loss on. So by default, it's set to 7. So the script will look back 7 bars for the lowest low in the case of a bullish trade, and add 1 ATR to that low to give us our stop loss. For our long stop, we need to get the ta.lowest low over our look back period. And then we need to subtract the ATR value multiplied by our multiplier. And that will give us our long stop loss price. And now we can do the same thing for short stops. We need the ta.highest high over our look back period plus the ATR multiplied by our multiplier. Now, let's plot this data to the chart. The first thing I'm going to do is use plot shape to plot when we have a buy signal, and plot shape to plot when we have a sell signal. I'll give this a style of shape.triangle up, and a color of color.green, and a location of location.below bar. going to copy this code, change this to red and this to down, and this to above bar. So now we should be drawing, if I save my code, we should be drawing arrows above and below our bearish and bullish signals. So far, so good. The next thing to do is to plot our long stop and short stop. So for that, we can say plot, and then we need to check, do we have a buy signal? Question mark. If so, plot our long stop. Otherwise, plot nothing. And we'll give this a color of color.red since it's a stop loss. And we can copy this line of code and put in sell signal here and short stop. And now if I save our code, we should be getting our stop loss drawing above and below our signals, which you can see there. If I zoom right in, you can see our little red line there. That is our stop loss. So we enter at the close and our stop loss is this far away. And if you hover over the setup bar here, you can see the exact price that we need to set our stop loss to, which is extremely helpful when entering trades into your trade panel. But anyway, so now we are drawing our signals onto the chart. We are drawing our stop loss for each setup. All that's left to do is draw our take profit. Now to do that, I need to create two new variables here called long target and short target. Now to make it easier to calculate these values, I'm going to create another two variables here called long stop distance and short stop distance. And this will be the distance in pips or points from our entry to our stop loss on both bearish and bullish trades. And to get that value, I simply need to subtract our long stop from our closing price, which is entry price, or in the case of a short stop, since the stop loss is above the close, we need to subtract closing price from our short stop in order to get a positive value. Now, to get our target, we just need to add the long stop distance to our closing price for long trades, or subtract it for short trades. So I can now copy our stop loss draw code and change this to long target and short target. Change the color to green since it's a take profit value. And now when I save my script, I should be getting a green line. There we go. Drawing 1-to-1 from our entry to our stop up to our target. There we go. Perfect 1-to-1 risk reward profile. Let's make sure the short trade is the same. And there we go. Perfect. So that's pretty much it for our script. The final thing to do is just add our risk reward profile setting into the mix. That's really easy to do. All we need to do is add some parentheses around our long stop and short stop distance and multiply this value, this distance value, by our risk reward setting. So now when I save my code and I minimize the editor, if I tweak my risk reward profile, let's try a 2-to-1. Now our take profit extends while our stop loss stays in place. And that's about it for this lesson. The source code, as always, will be below the video if you want to play around with this code. You could try detecting other candlestick patterns. You can see how hammers and stars or even doji candles perform with this sort of technique. One last thing I'll do before we finish this lesson, if I zoom out my chart a bit here, you can see we have these lines connecting all over the place. I forgot to set our line style on our plot, on our buy and sell signal long and stops, our stops and targets code to line break. So we need to add on the end here, style equals plot dot control space style line break. And this will break the line between signals. So what you're seeing here is we have a long trade here and a long trade here. TradingView is connecting the lines between signals because I didn't set the style to line break. So now if I copy this down across all of our plots and save my code, all of these lines will go away. There we go. So now we just have the stops and targets drawing above and below the relevant signals. All right, I think that will do it for this lesson. I'll speak with you in the next one.